it's Marley from the Energy Boutique with your energy forecast for Friday, June 23rd. So yesterday we had the moon in Leo energy go void of course around midday. We were sitting in that funk, that instability for quite some time, and we're going to still be in it until we lock into Virgo energy that will take place at 6:36 a.m. Eastern Standard Time here today. So there are 13 different aspects here today, which makes it a very busy day in the cosmos. 9 of them involve the moon, and we actually still have a couple of aspects with the moon in Leo, but of course void. So one thing that I just want to remind you of is that we're still in the adjustment period for moving into this new karmic chapter. Of course, we just had the solstice. We're fresh into this Cancer energy. It is a water sign. There are a lot of emotions. We do kind of seem to be heavy and weighted, really having a hard time breaking away from the funk. But just remember that we're coming down from a lot of electricity from that Gemini season. And because of that, we do need a little bit of time to adjust. And of course, adjustment periods are never fun. So there is a little bit of a funk. However, moving into the Virgo energy is going to help us get a little bit grounded, a little bit more focused. We're going to concentrate on the craziness, the chaos, in order for us to put things in order. We're going to get organized. We're going to restructure a couple of things, and we're going to come up with some solutions to some of the problems that we're currently facing. But first, we have the moon in Leo, void, of course, making an interaction with Neptune. Neptune, of course, in its place of power in this Pisces energy. This is definitely going to be a dynamic that is really going to make us, I guess, aware of the disconnect that we're currently having between our heart space, between our higher self, between our thoughts. There is going to be an illumination, if you will, on where it is that we are disconnected, where we are detached, where we do have to kind of make extra efforts in order to get in alignment. But this energy can definitely overwhelm us. We can pick up on all the different energies from our environment, from the people around us. We don't really know what to think, what to feel, what to say, what to do. And because of that, we could move into a numbing stage, a disassociation stage, a detachment stage where we just want to curl up into a ball and just kind of stay there until things figure themselves out. The sun, now in Cancer energy, will be making a positive interaction with Chiron, the wounded healer. So this is going to work very well for us because we're starting to see where the problems are at. And of course, we have to examine the problems in order to come up with a solution. Because this is about our identity, Chiron, of course, being in the Aries energy, very focused on our egoic avatar, our identity here in the physical realm. The sun, of course, shining a new bright light in this Cancer energy on the foundations, the systems, the structures in our lives that are either supporting us, helping us to do what we need to do in order to feel safe and secure within ourselves, or not. Now, this is a good illumination, which means that the light of the sun will be shining on where it is that we do have to kind of reorganize, restructure how it is that we're taking care of ourselves. There is an illumination on where growth, improvement, progress is needed in order for us to be comfortable in our own skin. The moon in Leo, still void, of course. This is the last aspect that we're going to have with the moon in Leo before shifting into the Virgo energy. The moon will be making an interaction with Pluto, the great transformer, who, of course, is retrograde in the Capricorn energy once again. This isn't the greatest. This is a very deep, very probing, very intense type of energy in our psyche. And we are having a hard time really kind of unearthing, if you will, where the blockages, where the challenges are. Of course, Pluto retrograding back in this Capricorn energy is supposed to illuminate for us where we didn't do the greatest job on detaching, disconnecting from some of the relationship dynamics, the routines, the roles, the responsibilities that essentially had been sucking the life out of us. We've given it too much power. And of course, we were overly anxious to get away from all of that funk back in March when Pluto shifted into that Aquarian energy. And now that we are going back, it feels heavy, it feels weighted, it feels intense, it feels like a dark narrative, it feels like a dark cloud hanging over us. And of course, the moon being in Leo, the heart and soul of the zodiac, but void, we're not in alignment with our heart space. We're kind of unraveling at the seams, so to speak. The good news is like I said, this is the last aspect that the moon being void in Leo energy will make before locking into Virgo energy. So we shift into that Virgo energy, 6:36 a.m., again, Eastern Standard Time. It's not until about 10:25 a.m. that we have the first aspect with the moon in Virgo. And just so you know, you will feel that shift. We come off a high, if you will, when the moon is in Leo. There's a fire energy, there's a pep in our step. We're very aggressive, we're very expressive. We want to put ourselves out there, we want to follow our heart space. When we shift into the earth energy of Virgo that is ruled over by Mercury, so again, mental plane rulership over the physical body, over the physical form, over the physical circumstances, what we get is tunnel vision on our physical realm and what needs to change. How do we know that? Well, because we have to look at where the craziness, the confusion, the disorganization is, if you will, and our attempt while the moon is in Virgo is to put things back into place, put things in a order, so to speak. So the moon in Virgo is going to sextile, which is a beautiful energy, with the sun now in Cancer energy. So essentially, the moon and the sun, when they interact, it is the inner realm of our emotions, our intuition, our unconscious self, the moon, very attached to the past, while the sun shining a bright light on what it is that we have to kind of boss up to. And in Cancer energy, this is about roles and responsibilities within the home, within the family dynamic, within nurturing our own selves back to a place of safety and security without sitting around and waiting for someone to come save us. And this sextile means that we are starting to see in this present moment where the craziness, the chaos from the past, the calm, I'm going to say soothing nature that we want to have in the future leaves us in this particular moment with the overlap on the choices that we have to make. And we're realizing that the foundation, the structure of our lives, of our home, of our family dynamic, on the routines and practices that we have put in place in order to take care of ourselves needs a little bit of work. We need to boss up there. We need to be a little bit better. We have to take care of ourselves a little bit more. We have to essentially stabilize our inner realm so that we're not allowing the instability of our outer realm to have that much power over us. So the moon in Virgo is then going to trine, which is a beautiful energy, with the North Node in Taurus energy. We get some earth on earth action here. And the trine is suggesting that we are starting to piece together what needs our attention the most. Keep in mind that the true node, or the North Node as it is called in this Taurus energy, this is our soul's path. This is the path that we need to be on in order to reach our new soul's mission, our new soul purpose, if you will. And the moon in Virgo just wants to kind of be disciplined and structured and focus on the smaller details on how it is that we're going to kind of align with the greater, grander vision, the greater, grander dream, the goal that we're now working towards. And so by identifying what isn't working, right? We have to identify the problem before we can identify a solution. What we're doing is we're seeing what areas of our lives needs the most attention, needs the most energy, needs the most stability, the most structure in order for us to grow, improve, and stabilize what currently is kind of all up in the air. So the sun in Cancer energy is going to sextile with the true node, the North Node, right after. It's about an hour's difference. What this is going to do is it's going to give us a little bit of a push, a little bit of an extra oomph in our vitality, in our energy, in our mood, in our attitude. We're recognizing where it is that we have to rise to the challenge that we're currently facing, where it is that we have to push ourselves forward, even if it means a couple of baby steps, in order to align with the vision, the dream, and the goal. This is a time for us to really grow, to really improve, to really show ourselves what it is that we've been running from. Again, a lot of the problems we're talking about here are tied to the past because Cancer season is overly attached to the past, so much so that there isn't a whole lot of growth and improvement and progress that takes place in Cancer season in our physical realm because we spend the bulk of Cancer season trying to stabilize, trying to heal, trying to grow, trying to improve our inner realm of emotion, of intuition before we go out in the world and start actively taking steps to move forward. So then Mercury, ruler of the mental plane, ruler of information, communication, how it is that we express ourselves, in his place of power, in this Gemini energy still, is going to semi-square, create a little bit of a tension, a little bit of a conflict with Jupiter. Now, Jupiter is the planet of growth, expansion, beliefs, abundance, and blessings, who's in this Taurus energy for the next year, showing us where it is that we have the ability to make some major improvements in our physical realm, to create opportunities, to basically create a realm of reality that not only looks good, but that feels good. This is about us seizing the opportunity to build new routines, new relationships, new money matters, to kind of collect new resources. But this particular interaction between Mercury and Jupiter, what this is going to do is it's going to make us a little bit wonky with the way that we're perceiving the world around us, perceiving conversations, bringing information in. It is going to amplify our intensities that we've been feeling around having to make choices and decisions, and of course not help us make those decisions, instead kind of further complicate things even further, as if we needed that. But what we're doing here is we're kind of too focused on trying to find the meaning, the purpose. So, we're always looking for hints and clues. We're always looking for those extra puzzle pieces in order to snap them together to see what the greater, grander vision for our goal, our dream moving forward may be. But what we're doing right now is that we are magnifying a lot of things that really don't need our attention. We're getting caught up, if you will. We're either overwhelmed with the situation, with information, with conversations, with our circumstances, or we're overlooking the details that are actually important because we're fixated on something that initially feels like it matters, but it really doesn't matter. We are essentially exaggerating the silver linings, the positive messages that we're getting. But while doing that, and again, it's not a bad thing to focus on the positives, but while doing that, we're actually missing the details, the not so pleasant details that are actually more hints, more clues, more revealing to the truth, to the mission, to the purpose, to the path moving forward than what it is that we're choosing to actually focus on and be fixated on. So this is really going to make a lot of the thinking process, the decision making, the choices that we have on the table even harder to make because we're focused on something that we shouldn't be. It's almost like, the shiny key syndrome, like, hey, look over here, there's a distraction. So we get fixated on this and it's fun and it's entertaining and it's sparkly, but what we're missing is the real truth, the real topics and themes that need our attention. So this is going to be a little bit of a distraction, if you will. We are going to be kind of tunnel visioned in on the things that really don't matter, but we think that they matter. We're going to pour all kinds of time and energy into it, only to realize in a couple of days that we wasted a lot of time and energy fixating on the things that actually don't matter. The moon will then interact with Chiron. And why I like this, although it doesn't feel good, but why I like this is because it illuminates for us what the problems actually are. You may hear me repeat myself often, but I think it's a good sentence to say, good mantra to have. You have to feel it in order to heal it. The moon in Virgo is here to solve the problems, here to open up the wounds, rub salt in them so that we're very aware of what it is that we're trying to band-aid, what it is that we're trying to overlook, what it is that we're trying to run from. We have to kind of essentially feel the sting back in those wounds in order for us to address them properly, for us to kind of give it the attention it needs, prep the wound properly so that we have the best chance of healing. And a lot of this comes down to our negative narrative, picking ourselves apart, casting huge amount of judgment upon ourselves, and really just criticizing ourselves to the point where we're actually the ones beating ourselves up at this point. And of course, that doesn't work for anybody. But sometimes we do have to get in that funk and really, kind of beat ourselves up in order for us to break ourselves down so that we can get real and raw and vulnerable and authentic with what it is that needs to happen so that we can essentially build ourselves back up in a better way. The moon in Virgo will then make a positive interaction with Mercury, its ruler, who happens to be in his place of power in Gemini energy. Mercury rules both Virgo and Gemini energy. And so anytime that we have an interaction with the ruler of the energy that we're talking about here, there's an extra oomph to it. And what we're getting here is a positive interaction between the moon, between Mercury, which essentially is our heart space, and our head space. So we're getting on the same page. There's a lot of processing going on where we haven't cleared that yet. There's a lot of processing going on, a lot of intense thoughts that we have to explore in our head. There's a lot of, I'm going to say, narratives that we have to kind of break down. And there's a lot of things that we have to get off of our chest as well. So this is going to allow us an opportunity to not only articulate what's been going on within us so that we have a better understanding of the pinball machine bouncing around between our thoughts and our emotions, but if gifted the opportunity, we're able to actually communicate what it is that needs to be said outside of us. Be a little bit more clear, if you will, with our intentions, with our wants, with our needs, and with our desires. The moon in Virgo will then make a very positive interaction with Pluto, the great transformer, who is retrograde in this Capricorn energy. Again, I love Virgo energy interacting with Pluto because both of these particular energies like to do a deep dive in the psyche, deep probing thoughts, really picking apart the conditioning, the programming that we've been under. And of course, Pluto is trying to illuminate for us where it is that the negative narratives got to go, where we got to stop giving our power away, where we got to stop and kind of retract and pull away from any kind of exchange that is essentially sucking the life out of us. We have to take our power back. We have to boss up. We have to understand that we are the writers, directors, producers, and stars of our own movie. The life that we have is supposed to be about us. So anytime that we've given the power away and given someone else the ability to star in our own movie, and that they have a much, I'm going to say, more powerful role than what it is that we have to really examine why we did that, what we thought we were gaining from that, why we felt the need to give our power away to someone else, and essentially really kind of flip the script and rewrite that particular situation and scenario in order for us to take that power back. The moon is going to sit across from Saturn. Saturn's the lord of karma. He's retrograde now in Pisces energy. Virgo, Pisces, they sit across from each other in the zodiac wheel. They represent the axis of healing. The Virgo energy focuses in on the physical body and the mental plane, while the Pisces energy focuses in on our emotions, on our spirituality, on our intuition, on our soul contracts, all of the lovely things going on in our inner realm. Now, the moon sitting across the way, if you will, with the militant grandfather that Saturn tends to be, we're having a little bit of a negative Nancy situation here. We're feeling the pressure. We're feeling the weight on our shoulders. Even more than that, we're feeling held back, restricted, blocked from being able to come up with the solutions, the path, the plan on how we're going to break free, restructure our lives, restructure the power exchanges in our relationships, really kind of restructure our belief system, what we actually believe in and what we actually believe is possible for us. So no, this doesn't feel good, but it is going to apply a very particular type of pressure that we 100% need right now in order to understand where it is that we're too heavy, too weighted, too stuck in this physical realm, not allowing the magic, the possibilities, the imagination, the fantasy of the universe to actually infiltrate, and where it is that we kind of have to balance the scales again with our mental plane, with our spirituality, where we have to take extra effort, really renew our vitality, our soul, our spirit, so that we can boss up to new levels of vibrations and frequency. Mercury is then going to make an interaction with Pluto. This is going to be very intense, okay? It's going to be intense in a good way, but it is really going to rattle us. We're going to be hyper-focused on something. We have to pay attention to the signs, to the symbols, to the synchronicities, to the validation. But what we are going to find ourselves doing is taking it too far, because that's what we tend to do. Mercury, ruler of the mental plane, the egoic intellect, if you will. Pluto kind of rules over the deep-seated psyche, our unconditioned or our unconscious conditioning and programming. So we're really going to be fixated on one topic, and it's likely not going to be a good topic, because what, again, the Virgo energy is meant to do is to address the problem so that we can come up with solutions. And Pluto is taking us on this very deep journey in our inner mind, really examining where it is that we got hooked up on some kind of negative pattern, negative conditioning and programming early on in our lives that has just been an unconscious, repetitious reaction to the world around us. So although it's not going to feel so good to be fixated on something that is troublesome, something that is problematic, something that is really kind of cluster effing our head and our heart right now, what is going to be a good thing is that we will come out of it with a solution. We will come with an aha moment, a shift in perspective, a shift in perception, a shift in understanding, which eventually is going to work for us in the long run. The last thing that we got going on here today is the moon in Virgo, trining, which is a beautiful energy, with Jupiter, who is in Taurus energy. So Jupiter, again, tends to turn the volume up, magnify whatever it is that we're thinking and feeling. Lucky for us, this is a trine. This is a positive interaction. We get it because it's Earth on Earth energy. And emotionally speaking, we are starting to see where it is that Jupiter, who has the great big picture, who has the great big dream, who understands, like, you know, he's focusing on the forest. Well, the moon in Virgo recognizes that there is no forest without an individual tree, and that we need multiple individual trees in order to make up the greater, grander forest. So the moon in Virgo is focused in on the smaller details that we need to focus on, the daily habits, the daily narratives, the little types of tasks and chores that may seem irrelevant in the run of the day, that if we put that into practice will eventually lead to the greater, grander whole. So this particular interaction is a positive one. It's optimistic, it's confident, it's shining a bright light on the smaller details. If you want to get to the end goal, you have to do X, Y, and Z in order to get there. And that's where many of us are kind of stuck right now, because we know what we want the end goal to look like. We know what we would love for the vision to actually be. We have no clue how to get there. And the moon in Virgo is going to help us sort out those smaller details and come up with a plan, come up with a solution, come up with a strategy on how it is that we're going to move forward.